How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? I remember not very long time ago, I did promise that I'm going to be making a video and trying to explain the concept of involution and evolution. This is something that I've been mentioning in my videos, and I've got a feeling some people might not actually understand what am I talking about when we are referring to evolution and involution. So basically in this lecture, I'm just going to give you a quick introduction, a quick rundown of what involution is and what is evolution. And as time goes on, so this is literally going to be an introduction subject or an introduction tutorial. And as time goes on, I'm going to give you a more in-depth of what everything that is involved with the process of involution and the process of evolution. And just to give you a quick overview, involution, basically we are talking about two things really. We are talking about the descent of spirit from the absolute or from the purified form and into matter. And matter, obviously, it's condensed or concentrated matter, and evolution is the coming out or the ascension of spirit coming out from condensed form back into to purity or to the absolute. That's basically is the overview of involution and evolution. Okay, so we're just going to get into the slide here, into the presentation. Involution, the word involution comes from the Latin word involvere. In meaning in, and volvere meaning to roll. So involution literally means to roll into, to envelope, to surround. Involution is the process of divine life rolling into matter, so to speak. It is the process of divine life involving itself in substance or descending into matter in order to express itself in matter. Matter just being densified spirit. So like I said before, basically it's all about the divine spirit descending itself and rolling itself into matter. And what is the whole purpose of all that? The purpose of that is for divine life to have experience of other forms of life. That's what it's all about, because as you all know, there's only one divine spirit or divine life. So for divine life or divine spirit to experience other forms of reality, it has to kind of like descend itself from the level of purity into sub-purity form, which is matter, basically. Okay, so on the other side of the coin is involution or evolution. Now evolution is what happens when the divine life, after having gotten involved with matter, after having clothed itself in a body, after having rolled into a body, it uses the form to perfect it, to make it a perfect expression of the indwelling life, with the goal of liberating itself from the environing from once it outgrows. So evolution is the process whereby the spark of life, after having been planted into substance, so to speak, uses the form to make it a perfect expression of the indwelling life. And so from a certain lens and perspective, this process of perfection is the process of evolution. So like I said, when spirit gets entangled, or when it involves itself into matter or condensed spirit, the divine spirit or pure spirit will be looking forward to have some kind of like a perfection, because the ultimate goal of everything is perfection. So for it to reach its perfection, it has to go through all the turbulences and all the obstacles, all the limitations of matter. So by coming out of matter, or resurrecting or ascending from the substandards of matter, this is how it reaches purity or perfection. Okay, so that is evolution on the other side there. Now, when we are talking about spirit or the absolute, we are talking about, because as you all know, there's only one thing, there's only one spirit. In the whole of existence, there's only one thing. There is no two things, there's no three, there's no four, there's no five things. There's only one thing. Now, this one thing, science, they call it energy. A religion call it God. It's being referred, it's been attributed by many various names, but it is just one thing, or you can call it one spirit. There is nothing outside of spirit, and there's nothing apart from spirit. Everything is spirit. So everything that you see in a solidified or in material form, it's all it is just a condensed spirit. Every single thing that you see in all of existence is just one spirit, but expressing itself in many different forms. That's all it is. But there's nothing outside of spirit. And spirit has been given, like I said, it's been given names it's been attributed names of various types. When you go to science, they call it energy. And when you go to religion and the mystics, they call it spirit, but it's still one and the same thing. There's nothing outside of energy, and there's nothing outside of spirit. It is the one thing that was there in the beginning, and it is the one thing that's going to be there in the very end. So that is just it. There is nothing outside of spirit. Spirit manifests itself into two forms, life and matter. Life is the pure form of spirit from the absolute. Matter is the condensed form of spirit. All material forms or bodies are simply condensed, concentrated spirit. So for spirit exists in two different forms. Matter, like I said, it is the condensed form of matter, of spirit. And there is another form of spirit which is purified or uncondensed spirit. So for spirit, like I said, for spirit to experience other forms of non-purity, it has to solidify, it has to take a different kind of form. So that is why spirit exists in twofold. It exists in spirit, in life and matter. So as you can see here, involution is on the left hand side and evolution is on the right hand side, and they're all coming from the realm of purity or the absolute. So the absolute spirit energy, you can call it whatever you want to call it, or you can call it God. I mean, it's still the same thing. But spirit or the absolute or God or energy, it involves, so this descending arrow you can see here is descending from the absolute, from the realm of purity. So it's descending into matter, and when it descends into matter, it experiences all kind of challenges, all kind of obstacles, all kind of like stages of development. So by conquering all the limitations, it's gonna reach some kind of a perfection. And this enrichment, or this journey or expedition of getting perfection, this is what is called the evolution. This is on the other side of the coin. So but it's gonna go back to the absolute again. And when it goes back to the absolute, it will come back even better, 10 times better than how it was before. So really, involution and evolution is all about the growth, expansion and expression of the absolute or the spirit. So when spirit descends into matter, it lowers itself, it lowers its capabilities, and it faces all the challenges of matter. But by conquering matter and all the challenges of matter, it then evolves, and when it evolves, it's even 100% more perfect than how it was before when it first evolved. When spirit descend from the absolute, it goes through 4 different types of existence. Especially like on this earth planet that we've got, it when spirit involves or descend from the absolute, it takes the form of the minerals in the mineral kingdom. It takes a form of the vegetation in the vegetation kingdom. It takes the form of animals in the animal kingdom. It takes the form of humans in the human kingdom. So basically, when spirit descends from the absolute, the mineral kingdom is the very it's closer to the absolute, but it's not as involved. It's not as evolved. It hasn't experiencing so much challenges, as you all know. Like in the mineral kingdom, there is not so much obstacles of matter. Same thing with the vegetation. Yes, I mean, you can't compare minerals and the vegetation kingdom. There is more consciousness in the vegetation kingdom than there is in the mineral kingdom. So as it progresses, as spirit progresses from the mineral kingdom, the vegetation kingdom, to the animal kingdom, and finally to the human kingdom, consciousness is getting developed and evolved better and better. So the ultimate is the human kingdom. In the human kingdom, when it conquers all the challenging through reflection, consciousness, and through experience, and through knowledge and gnosis, it's going to conquer all the limitations of matter. So really, humans are the pinnacle of our expression of perfection. So this is how the spirit descends into the 4 kingdoms firstly, and it goes in that chronological order, because in the mineral kingdom there's less consciousness, but there's more consciousness in the vegetation than there is in the mineral, but there is less consciousness in the vegetation kingdom than there is in the animal. And obviously, as you all know, human beings are much more clever and more conscious than the animals kingdom or the vegetation and the mineral kingdom. Okay, and so that is on the side of the involution. Now the evolution, that's why you see the human kingdom right here at the top, because when a spirit descend into matter, the ultimate goal, or the pinnacle, or the best form of expression of consciousness and knowing itself and conquering its limitations of matter, is expressed in the human form or in the human kingdom. So the human kingdom is the latest or the highest stage of the evolution process. So when humans awaken from the death of spirit, it is in the human kingdom where ascension happens. This is where the resurrection happens. This is when spirit is coming out from death, or from the cave, or from matter, and it arises again. It's gonna come back to life. It's gonna come back to life. It's gonna evolve back to the absolute. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's why I just thought I'm gonna give you a little presentation, and I just wanted you to be more familiar with these ways, involution and evolution. But like I said, I'm gonna come back, and this was just an introduction, so at least you'll have an overview next time when I'm making videos and I'm referring to words like involution, evolution. What exactly am I talking about? So at least by now you've got some kind of like a clue of what we're going to be talking about. So my next videos and my forthcoming videos, is gonna be more in depth and more into all the intricacies of involution and evolution. What is it all about, and what are the obstacles? And you have to remember, the other things you have to remember as well, involution and evolution, this is not something that happens overnight. This is not something that happens in a year. This is not something that happens in a million years. No, we are talking about billions and trillions of years. So we are talking about a big chunk of chronological time. We are not talking about in human terms that a spirit just descend into vegetation today, and tomorrow it evolves into a human king. No, we are talking about millions, billions of billions, trillions of trillions of years. Okay. So yes, the ultimate goal, like I say, the ultimate goal is obviously the I'm just gonna pull this up here. The ultimate goal obviously is the ultimate goal is spirit going back to the absolute realm, but it's gonna go back with more perfected, more purified, more knowledgeable, and more experienced. That is the whole purpose, really. So hopefully this has shown some light, and it has shed some light into this involution and evolution thing. And like I said, I'm gonna come back next time, and I'm gonna be making more in-depth and more longer videos, and kind of like a documentary style, and with more interesting presentations. Okay, but yeah, thank you so much, and you look after yourself, and you watch out for my next videos, and please do make sure to subscribe, and make sure you share any of these videos that I do present to you. All right, thank you so much, and take care.